ਮਨ ਲੋਚਦਾ ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ, ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ। ਹਰ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਨ ਲੋਚਦਾ ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ, ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ। ਜਿਨ ਸਖੀਏ ਰੱਬ ਪਾਇਆ, ਹਉ ਤਿਨ ਕੈ ਸਦ ਬਲਿਹਾਰ। ਜਿਨ ਸਖੀਏ ਰੱਬ ਪਾਇਆ, ਹਉ ਤਿਨ ਕੈ ਸਦ ਬਲਿਹਾਰ। ਹਉ ਤਿਨ ਕੈ ਸਦ ਬਲਿਹਾਰ, ਹਉ ਤਿਨ ਕੈ ਸਦ ਬਲਿਹਾਰ। ਹਰ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਨ ਲੋਚਦਾ ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ, ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ। ਹਰ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਨ ਲੋਚਦਾ ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ, ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ। ਸਾਵਣ ਸਰਸੀ ਕਾਮਣੀ, ਚਰਨ ਕਮਲ ਸਿਉ ਪਿਆਰ। ਸਾਵਣ ਸਰਸੀ ਕਾਮਣੀ, ਚਰਨ ਕਮਲ ਸਿਉ ਪਿਆਰ। ਮਨ ਤਨ ਰਤਾ ਸਚ ਰੰਗ, ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਆਧਾਰ। ਮਨ ਤਨ ਰਤਾ ਸਚ ਰੰਗ, ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਆਧਾਰ। ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਆਧਾਰ, ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਆਧਾਰ। ਹਰ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਨ ਲੋਚਦਾ ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ, ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ। ਹਰ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਨ ਲੋਚਦਾ ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ, ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਗਾ। ਵਿਖਿਆ ਰੰਗ ਪੁੜਾਵਿਆ, ਦਿਸਨ ਸਭੇ ਚਾਰ। ਵਿਖਿਆ ਰੰਗ ਪੁੜਾਵਿਆ, ਦਿਸਨ अमृत बूंद सुहावनी, हरे अमृत बूंद सुहावनी, बिल साधु पीवन गा। बिल साधु पीवन गा, हर मिलने नो मन लोचदा। कर्म मिलावण हार, कर्म मिलावण हार, हर मिलने नो मन लोचदा। कर्म मिलावण हार, कर्म मिलावण हार, जिन सखिए प्रभ पाया, हो तिनकै सद बलिहार। जिन सखिए प्रभ पाया, हो तिनकै सद बलिहार। जिन सखिए प्रभ पाया, हो तिनकै सद बलिहार, हो तिनकै सद बलिहार, हो तिनकै सद बलिहार। हर मिलने नो मन लोचदा। कर्म मिलावण हार, कर्म मिलावण हार, हर मिलने नो मन लोचदा। कर्म मिलावण हार, कर्म मिलावण हार। बण तिण प्रभ संग मौलिया, समरथ पुरख अपार।
Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When I think of him, my heart fills with joy. joy. He's always there, protecting all of us. And when I ask, He always has the answers. He gives and gives. My God, we are so blessed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to Thee. How great Thou art! How great Thou art! Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to Thee. How great Thou art! How great Thou art! When Ishwar shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. My soul shall
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Love. Nice to be with my holy family. I see Anita, Dr. Chan, Sandy. Welcome, Dwight, everyone, Anoop. Oh, let me read the beautiful schedule. Here, I'll share it so you can enjoy it. Here's the gorgeous schedule. Oops. We have Shabd by Nisha. Do you love the flowers? And Master, I love it. We have Shabd my Nisha. Think of your own nature now, O Lord. Wow, looking forward. Then, after Nisha, Dr. Chan and Sunita, she's gonna sing for us. So we're looking forward. And then there is a welcome by me, and I'm gonna do some poetry from Rumi. That is so beautiful. Then after me, there is a talk by our dear brother Dwight. And after Dwight G, we're gonna listen to our Holy Father Ishwar Puri G and melt into his love. So I wish you oceans and oceans and oceans of divine love that will fulfill your soul for sure. Yes, all of our souls. So let's play our dear sister Nisha.
Radha Swami, today's hymn is by Saint Sahajobai. Here she says, think of your own nature now, O Lord. Pay no heed to my vices. Be true to your intrinsic disposition. Age after age, your greatness has prevailed. The Vedas and Puranas have sung your glory, calling you the Redeemer of the fallen. Hearing this, my mind has become steadfast. I am ignorant and you are all knowing. You know the innermost secrets of all hearts. I have taken refuge at your lotus feet. Bestow your grace, O merciful Master. With folded hands, I plead before you. Hold my hand and accept me as your own. I have fallen at your door. Without virtue and bereft of devotion am I. Your devotee Sahajiya intensely longs, O Master Charandas, for the immeasurable treasure of your darshan. I have fallen in love and am hanging between life and death. Tell me, without you, where would I go? अब तुम अपनी ओर निहारो, अब तुम अपनी ओर निहारो, हमरे औगण पे नहीं जाओ, पे नहीं जाओ, तुम ही अपना बिरद संहारो, अब तुम अपनी ओर निहारो। जुग जुग साख तुम्हारी ऐसी, वेद पुराणन ने गाई, वेद पुराणन ने गाई, पुराणन ने गाई, पतित उद्धारण नाम तुम्हारो। यह सुन के मन दृढ़ता आई, दृढ़ता आई, अब तुम अपनी ओर निहारो। मैं अजान तुम सब कुछ जानो, घाट घाट अंतर जामी, घाट घाट अंतर जामी, अंतर जामी, मैं तो चरण तुम्हारे लागी। हो कृपाल दयाल ही स्वामी, दयाल ही स्वामी, अब तुम अपनी ओर निहारो। हाथ जोड़ के अर्ज करत हो, बाहीं अपना हो गहे बाहीं गहे बाहीं द्वार तिहारे आए पड़ी हूँ परुष गुण मोह में कछु नाही मोह में कछु नाही अब तुम अपनी ओर निहारो चरण दास सहजिया तेरी दर्शन की निधि पाऊं दर्शन की निधि पाऊं निधि पाऊं लगन लगी और प्राण अरे हैं तुमको छोड़ कहो कित जाऊं कहो कित जाऊं अब तुम अपनी ओर निहारो अब तुम अपनी ओर निहारो थैंक यू मास्टर थैंक यू लॉर्ड राधा स्वामी सर ने ये भेज दिया है ना
Thank you, Master. Thank you, Lord, for dear Sister Nisha and her godly voice and beautiful shabd. We really appreciate it and we always look forward for it. And thank you for all the compilation of Master's pictures. We also love them. Beautiful, beautiful. So thank you, dear sister. Now we have Dr. Chand and Sunita. They're gonna do the godly
Okay,
dance for
that's
us.
right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Do the godly dance for us.
Today's radar is talking about that this life is so momentary. Now I have to say that everybody should understand that it is a time-bound material creation and we are here for a limited time. Now this time is hardly a small little window of about 100 years, less than that. Basically, each time we come out of the astral to the physical part, we come out with a small little window which is time bound. So now Sunita is going to sing something which is about the time bound life here. So today's radar is talking that we must understand that we are here for a short while and just take it in the stride because all of us have got that ability, and this ability is to face things as they come. Now, there is a small little problem in the whole song, but I think Sunita is going to do it nicely, whatever it is.
कुछ पल की जिंदगानी एक रोज सबको जाना बरसों की तू क्यों सोचे पल का नहीं ठिकाना कुछ पल की जिंदगानी एक रोज सबको जाना बरसों की तू क्यों सोचे पल का नहीं ठिकाना मल मल के तूने अपने तन को जो है निखारा इत्रों की खुशबुओं से महके शरीर सारा तन का जो है निखारा इत्रों की खुशबुओं से महके शरीर सारा काया न साथ होगी ये बात ना भुलाना काया न साथ होगी ये बात ना भुलाना बरसों की तो क्यों सोचे पल का नहीं ठिकाना बरसों की तू क्यों सोचे पल का नहीं ठिकाना मन है मन है हरि का दर्पण, मन में इसे बसा ले, करके तू कर्म अच्छे, कुछ पुण्य धन कमा ले, करके तू कर्म अच्छे, कुछ पुण्य धन कमा ले, कर दान और धर्म तू प्रभु को करके पाना, बरसों की तू क्यों सोचे, पल का नहीं ठिकाना, आएगी वो घड़ी जब कोई भी न साथ होगा, कर्मों का तेरे सारे एक एक हिसाब होगा, ये सोच ले अभी तू, फिर वक्त ये न आना, बरसों की तू क्यों सोचे, पल का नहीं ठिकाना, कोई नहीं है तेरा, क्यों करता मेरा मेरा, खुल जाए नींद जब ही, समझो वही सवेरा, हर भोर की किरण संग हरि का भजन है गाना, बरसों की तू क्यों सोचे, पल का नहीं ठिकाना, कुछ पल की जिंदगानी, एक रोज सबको जाना, बरसों की तू क्यों सोचे, पल का नहीं ठिकाना, बरसों क्यों तू सोचे, पल का नहीं ठिकाना. Thank you, Radha Swami.
Beautiful. She has really sung it so well, you know. So the meaning of these lines is so nice, you know. I would like to read out the meanings in English, which I have already sent to Michael. Now, the first line says that the life is of few moments only. It is so temporary here. Everybody has to go a day. Any of the days, anybody can go anytime. Why think of years? Why we should plan for next generations rather? So this is what is the advice in this song, that you must not think for years together. Now, do not know the next moment what is going to happen. Cleaning the body to shine using fragrance on it. This body will not be there. It will be just left here. You are putting all those fragrances onto the body and trying to make it shine. This body will not remain, you know. Don't forget this. This body will not be there. Never forget this. Why think of years? Do not know the next moment. Why think of years? Mind should reflect God and settle in your mind. So that is what you got to remember all the time through Simran. Earn some vitreous money. I mean, you must earn that money which is, which is rightful. If you do it with some other means, this money will not be staying with you. Do donations and religious work. Do seva, which all of you are doing. The Lord has to be attained. Now you must get that God, and it is your own effort how you will do that. So why you are thinking for years? Don't you know the next moment? You may not be there. When the hour will come, no one will be with you. It's a beautiful line, that when that hour will come, once you will be leaving this body, nobody will be there with you. All your deeds, it will be all counted, you know. All that karma theory will be applicable. Think about this again. Time will not come. Time passes and it won't come any time, you know. Why think of years? Why you are busy thinking about future things, you know? Do not know the next moment. No one is yours here in this world. And then why why do you say all the time that it is mine, it is mine, it is mine? Nothing is yours here. When you will wake up, understand this is and you know, whenever the situation comes, you think this is the morning. Once you understand this particular concept, that the whole world is so temporary here. Why think of years? Sing praises of God. So you should always think of God and, start praising Him, because without that, you won't understand this part. Do not know the next moment. Life is for few moments. Everybody has to go one day. Why think of years? Do not know the next moment. So these are the meanings of the beautiful song which Sunita sang, and she did not falter anywhere. She did it so well. Thank you very much, my dear.
Anita, when you sing, God is dancing in your chest. When you sing, yes, and we feel that. We feel God dancing in your chest.
Thank you.
Wow, so beautiful, so beautiful. How lucky we are. We have so many holy people in our circle of lovers, and it's the greatest gift from God, the greatest gift from God. Um, here's some flowers for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
um, let me read to you some beautiful, beautiful poetry from Jalaluddin al-Rumi. And it's just the more I read his poetry, especially when it's coming right from the source, untranslated, when he wrote it in Arabic, it is just like the Adi Grant. And whatever Ishwar Puri Ji said in his satsang, it's coming out from Rumi in a powerful poem. So many sayings of our Holy Father, Ishwar Puri Ji, Sheikh Lishiyukh, Master of Masters. Well, anything that came out of his mouth, Rumi puts it in a beautiful, powerful poem, in a beautiful, powerful poem. And how beautiful that is. How beautiful that is when we look inside ourselves and see our beloved dancing in our heart, dancing in our heart. Once a lover was talking to the beloved, and the beloved asked him, "How many times do you think of me?" And the lover said, "Only once, for you entered my heart, and you never left. You made your residence in my heart." Lover the beloved makes a residence in the heart of the lover, and the lover makes residence in the heart of the beloved. Isn't that so beautiful? Isn't that so beautiful? And that residence in the lover's heart and in the beloved's heart is forever and ever and ever. Michael, Ishwar said once to me when he held my hand, "I love you. I will be with you forever. Forever, forever, forever." The word forever is so beautiful. The word forever is so beautiful. That means moment by moment by moment by moment. Ishwar, Santakar, our holy masters, Father God, is inside of us, is inside of us. And when we are happy, he is dancing. When we are happy, the Lord inside of us is dancing. He wants us to be happy. He wants us to enjoy this journey. We are walking the path. We're on this journey towards our true home. And whoever starts a journey and is walking with the King of Kings has to reach the destination. Whatever we desire, whatever we long for, it has to be given to us. And the master inside of us is what completes our soul. Without the master, our soul is not complete. And when it's with the master, when it's find the master's inside, it becomes complete. And then it knows what it was missing. It really knows what it was missing before it met the master that completes the soul. Just like the drop yearns for the ocean. And what is the drop without the ocean? And what is the ocean without all the drops? The ocean cannot exist and cannot be an ocean without all of its drops. And the drop, the same way, cannot exist by itself. It is always lonely. It wants to go to its source. And all of us here want to go to our source, God and the kingdom of God. So let me read to you few poems. Each line can become a satsang. Each line is a pearl from God and the kingdom of God. Each line is a conversation between the lover and the beloved. It's a deep conversation in Arabic. And if somebody knows the meaning, more powerful word for love, please put it in the chat. Because I cannot, there is a word in Arabic called the ishq, ishq al-ilahi, al-ishq al-ilahi. It's like deep falling in love, but I can't find the word, amor. It's like ishq, like Romeo loved Juliet. That type of ishq, al-ishq al-ilahi. I can't describe it with just the word of love. It's much deeper. It's much deeper. Al-ishq between the lover and the beloved. And Rumi is saying, ساهم في ترميم القلوب فهي أيضا بيوت يذكر فيها اسم الرب. ساهم في ترميم القلوب فهي أيضا بيوت يذكر فيها اسم الله. Help in the construction of the hearts. For the hearts are houses in which the name of God is praised and recited. Help in the construction of the hearts to bring somebody to the path, to help somebody on the path, to bring somebody to the master, where master starts to reconstruct their heart, make it into a real heart, is the greatest thing. So this line is about seva. Seva in helping in the mission of God to reconstruct the hearts, reconstruct the hearts of the fallen. And then the praise of God, that heart will become like a house where the praise of God never ceases, not even for a moment, in the complete heart. Then let's go to another line. And he says, لا تظن أن الله يمنح فضل ذكر اسمه لكل الناس إن تذكر الله هو إشارة منه إليك أنه يحبك. Don't even think for a moment that God gives the gift of his remembrance to all the people. The remembrance of God is a big sign that God is in love with you. When we remember God, that means God loves us. God is in love with us. And that gift does not happen to anyone. Only very few have that gift. Then listen to this. This is about Muslims. You know how Muslims, before they pray, they wash their body. They wash every part of their body, and then they pray. And then Rumi is telling them, توضى بالمحبة قبل الماء فإن الصلاة بقلب حاقد لا تجوز. He's saying, when you pray, before you bath yourself with water, bath yourself with love. Because prayer in the heart of one who has hatred or envy in his heart is not accepted. Is not accepted by God. If we pray to God and we have hatred to somebody else in our heart, that prayer is not acceptable. Beautiful, beautiful poem. في اللحظة التي تتقبلي بها كل شيء حتى الآلام سيفتح لك الباب. In the moment that you accept everything, including pain, the door, the inner door shall open to you. Isn't that so beautiful? that even pain is a blessing, because if we accept it, sadness is a blessing. If we accept it, then the inner door will open to us. So, so, so yummy. And then he's saying, قد يخفي الظلام الأشجار والورود عن أعيننا لكنه لا يستطيع أن يحجب الحب عن الروح. Darkness can hide the beauty of the trees and the flowers from our eyes, but darkness cannot stand, cannot hide the love from the soul. It cannot hide that love. Oh, and this one, I love this one. إذا كان العالم بيت مظلم سيجد الحب طريقة لإنشاء نوافذ. If this world is the valley of death, if this world is so dark, then love will find a way to open windows. Wow. In this world of wars and misery and blackness, in this dark world, if we have love for God in our heart, it will open windows. It will open the window. It will open a window towards truth, towards light. It will open the window so we can see the source of all light. In this dark world, love will open windows. Wow, I love that. And then he's saying, فقدت كل شيء أملكه فوجدت نفسي وما أروع أن تكون أنت التائه وأنت الدليل. I lost everything and then I found myself. And what a delightful thing to be the lost and also the guide. What a beautiful delight to be the lost and you yourself be the guide to yourself. Your higher self be your guide. When he lost everything, he found himself. He realized himself as soul. And how beautiful, how delightful that is for you to be the lost and for you to find yourself, to be the guide. Wow. And then he's saying, listen to this beauty. ازهر دون أن يسقيك أحد كن لنفسك الساقي والماء. He's like, bloom like a flower without having anyone watering you. Be for yourself the water and the waterer. That means everything is inside of us. We don't need anybody from the outside. Your inner self can be the water and the waterer. Your inner self, your inner master will make you bloom. Your inner master will make you bloom and you need nothing from the outside. Your inner master is the water of life and the bread of life. No need for anything from the outside. Complete, you are the whole universe moving in ecstasy, in ecstatic ecstasy. Nothing needed from outside. Listen to this one. This one is beautiful also. لقد سطع ضوء الشمس على الجدار فاكتسب ذلك الجدار نور مستعار فكيف تعلق القلب بالجدار أيها السليم القلب اطلب الأصل الذي يظل نورها مقيما ليس في العالم خيال دون حقيقة. He's saying the light fell on the wall and that wall had borrowed light. Why do you attach yourself to a wall that has a borrowed light? You who has a complete heart, ask for the source, ask for the original source of the light that light that's always lit inside your heart. What he's saying in this poem, don't run after the gifts of God. Run after the giver of all gifts, God himself. ليس في العالم خيال دون حقيقة. He's saying about imagination, that there is no imagination without truth. That's what Ishwar Puri Ji always tells us. Sit inside, imagine the inner master, imagine flowers, and then they become real and much, much more real. This one is so beautiful. الشعرة في العين تكون كالجبل العظيم. He's saying the hair in the eye can become like a big mountain, a big mountain. A hair in the eye will bother us as if it's a mountain sitting in our eye. This has a deep, deep meaning. That means if anything obstructs our inner vision, whether it's anger, whether it's lust, whether it's hatred, whether it's slander, whether it's criticism, it becomes like a big mountain that stands between us and God and obstructs our vision. And it feels like a hair in the eye, and the hair in the eye can become like a mountain. A small hair in the eye can become like a mountain. A little anger in us, a little hatred in us, a little jealousy in us can obstruct us from seeing the truth, from experiencing God inside of us, from experiencing the kingdom of God inside of us. Imagine how powerful. And then he's saying, فهناك نوع آخر من الرجال بداخلهم حيوان محبوس. ليته هؤلاء يقومون أنفسهم أولا. He's saying there is some type of man that has a hidden animal in them, a hidden animal. A hidden animal. He's talking about the lower self. The lower self. The lower self is like an animal in prison, he's saying. Our lower self, our animal self, is like an animal in the prison. And the smart ones are the ones who tame that animal in the prison. And then they construct their selves, as the complete self has no animal in it. Mind is like an animal inside of us. Mind is like an animal inside of us. And those who tame that animal with the help of the master, they own the whole world. For he who overcomes, I shall give powers to rule all of the nations, Jesus said. And then look at this beautiful. This is about meditation. وإنما التصوف كله أخلاق. Meditation is all about good morals. فمن زاد عليك بالأخلاق زاد عليك بالتصوف. And he who increases your morality also increases your meditation. That meditation is all about good morals. When we connect with the Shabd, when we connect with the holy light and sound, when we think of Master, when we do our holy Simran, it adds all the qualities of God to us. Compassion, generosity, love, everything, good morals, contentment, everything is added to us when we meditate. Meditation equals good morals, not just good morals, but the best morals. كنت أسمع اسمي ولا أرى نفسي. كنت منشغلا بنفسي لكني أبدا لم أكن مستحقا لها. حين كان وخرجت من نفسي وجدت نفسي. He's saying, I used to hear my name, but I never saw myself. I was so busy with myself, even though I did not even deserve myself. But when the moment came that I came out of myself, I found myself. When I came out of myself, I found myself. Learn how to die so he can begin to live. He who comes out of himself finds himself. Who he comes out, who he comes out of the physical body, the astral body, and the causal body finds himself. When I came out of myself, I found myself. In meditation, we come out of ourselves. We die. We learn how to die, and we start to live in the different world inside. And then listen to this one. This one is so yummy. وجالس جميل الروح تصيبك عدوى جماله. وجالس جميل الروح تصيبك عدوى جماله. And sit with the beautiful one. Because when you sit with the beautiful one, you will get infected with his beauty. Sit with the master, you will get infected with his beauty. Wow. Always he's saying, وجالس جميل الروح. Sit with the beautiful souls. Sit with the beautiful souls, then that beauty will infect you. You will become beautiful. بدأت أتعب من المخلوقات أريد جمال الخالق لكن حين أتطلع هناك أرى نفسي وحين أتطلع إلى نفسي أرى ذلك الجمال. He's saying, I've started to get rid of the created things. I want the beauty of the original creator. And when I start to look there, to the beauty of the original creator, I see myself. And when I look at myself, I see the beauty of God. That means he has become one with God. When he looks at God, he sees himself. When he looks at himself, he sees God. Oneness. Me and my Father in the heavens are one. Ana al-Haq, is he saying. This poem here, which will be the last poem I will read, it's about the pain of separation. Anybody who cried for Ishwar's loss, this poem is for them. This is a very, 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 very powerful poem for those who cried for Ishwar's loss. He's saying, الجرح هو المكان الذي يوجد فيه ضوء الذي يدخل إلى أعماقك ولا تلتفت بعيدا حافظ على بصرك على مكان جراحك هناك حيث يدخل الضوء إليك وكأنه برحيل شمس عنه أدرك أن شمس لم يكن سوى جرحا استطاع من خلاله أن يرى نور العشق الإلهي من خلال العبادة الخالصة. And he's saying that the wound is the place where the light enters to the depth of your soul. The wound is the place where the light enters to the depth of your soul. And don't look away from that wound. Keep your eyes on the wound because it is the place where the light will enter. And then he's saying, and when Shams moved on and died, when Shams, the master of Rumi, left, then Rumi realized that Shams was just a wound. And from that wound, Rumi could see the inner light, Nur al-Ishq al-Ilahi, the light of divine love from absolute worship. That means for those of us who felt the wound when Ishwar left, when Santakar left, keep your eyes there on that wound, that pain of separation. Keep your eyes on the pain of separation. It's where you will learn how to fall deep divine love. This is where we learn absolute worship. What is absolute worship? Absolute worship is when we only have the beloved in our heart. we only think of the beloved. Absolute worship has no room for two. Absolute worship will lead to oneness. Thank you, Master. I hope you like the poems. Very, very delicious poems. I get so intoxicated just listening to those poems as they came from the source. They came from the source of all creation. Gift for all of us. I hope you liked it. And now, thank you, Master, for the seva. I welcome my dear brother, Dwight G.
Good morning, everybody. Radhaswami. Michael, beautiful satsang as usual. Thank you. I enjoyed the poems. I enjoy watching you enjoy the poems. Beautiful, beautiful satsang. Dr. Chan and your beautiful young lady there with the beautiful satsang and the Shabbat. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of what the Master has chosen you to do. Thank you all, and the young ladies prior who were doing the Shabbats. Can't recall their names, but you all know who I'm talking about.
Dwight, your face is cut off, they're saying. They
Oh,
want
is it?
your whole face. Your whole
Okay,
face is
let's
wanted.
see.
Yes, okay, cool.
Is that better?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So thank you again, everyone. You know, I can't help but, you know, reminisce when I think of the Master, when I think of you guys, when I think of the satsangs in general. It's a reminiscence, it's a memory, because everything that we obtain comes from our Master and or what we've done in our lives. It becomes a memory the moment the second passes that that experience has been experienced. And so our memories give us these wonderful memories of love, devotion, in this case for the Master, or someone else who we may have loved in life, mother, father, sister, brother, husband, wife, children. We are all sons and daughters of God. We have been created by the Supreme Being, not just us, the humans, but every living creature has been created by God. Whatever you perceive God to be, you can look around you and see that it is a force that is forever able to be there and to give us an experience of whatever nature we belong to, human, animal, insect, vegetable, microscopic. We're all part of the same system. Now, as we graduate in our development in this world and other worlds, we discover that God becomes even more real. As we graduate from being minerals and microbiology or microbes and then plants, then animals, our consciousness is graduating to the point where we are now allowed by the Master, by the Creator, to be human beings. And in those human forms that we all possess now, thank God, we have the ability to realize God. Now, what does that mean? The average person that is not on the spiritual path does not realize or have not been taught that they can realize God while in these human forms. We have graduated even further in our understanding of God realization simply by becoming initiates on the spiritual path that the masters have given us, these great initiations and or abilities now to realize God. We've been taught in our religious ceremonies, whether we were going to churches or ashrams, synagogues, wherever we were going, even from our parents, maybe our grandparents. I had a grandmother who was very religious, and she would talk about God all of the time. She met the master, by the way. I made sure that she met the master, but the point I'm making is she brought the idea of God into my life as her grandson from as small as I can remember. But regardless of how the message is brought to us, it is still the message from the Supreme Being. It is still the message, in our case, I dare say, from the master of our time. In our case, in many cases, from Taka Singh, Ishwarji, great master, the different masters, Kripal Singh, all of the masters that have been initiated, by the way, by the great master. At the Dera, back in the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, until he left in 1948. What we have to understand is that the spiritual path is designed to give you God realization, but there is a great deal of effort that we have to put in to be able to get to a point where we can realize God. Think about that for a moment. Realizing God while you're in human form, while you're in this form that you have right now, having that ability, been given that ability, no small affair. Huge, huge blessing. And huge doesn't even describe the magnitude of that kind of a blessing that we've all been given here on this site today and others. You know, I remember when Ishwar was doing a Bandara back in 1986. And we had, there was a house, I've told you folks this before, but the repetition of these stories and or these experiences, I think, are good, because understand this, everything we do in life is repetition, without exception. Everything we do is repetitive. The master, the Lord incarnate, has built that into our awareness, has built this method into how he can be realized through repetition, through Simran, through meditation, through listening to the sound current. As you folks know, I like to do this repetition, and I'll do it again. I like to do the repetition of this repetition that Great Master has said about Simran, and I do it hopefully so that we can all understand there's no better method of subduing the mind than by listening to the sound. It is only then that it becomes calm and tranquil. By far, the best and the highest form of spiritual practice is to do Simran with the tongue of the soul, to contemplate on the form of the master, with the eye of the soul, and to listen to the sound current with the ear of the soul. This is the easiest, this is Great Master, not Dwight. This is the easiest, quickest, and surest way of achieving permanent results. And so I read this every time I come on, or try to remember reading this, because this repetition of what I'm reading is what is being said and taught to us once we become initiates of a master on the spiritual path. The spiritual path, what is that? What is the beauty of the spiritual path? What is the challenge of the spiritual path? You know, when I tell you these things because you've heard them before, but again, the repetition or the truth is what matters. Now, you can do a repetitive lie and people begin to believe that as well. We see that in politics every day. But we are creatures of repetition. And to repeat the Simran, the 5 holy words, have great power within them. You are required, we are required to do the Simran, even when we're in higher regions. Once the sound current grabs the soul and snatches it out of the body, literally, that is when you can relinquish doing repetition or Simran. But until that happens, you want to continue your repetition as often as you can. For whatever you're doing, repeat, repeat, repeat. Just like you repeat going and getting up in the morning and going to bed at night. Just like you repeat eating your meals every day. Just like you repeat going to work or whatever it is that you do repetitively. It was built into the system for us, the souls. It's what we automatically do anyway. That's grace right there. That the Lord has given us a method that we do all the time anyway, in some form or fashion. What we need to be aware of is that because we are now on the spiritual path, it doesn't necessarily make it easy to achieve realization. There's obvious things that we have to do in addition to repetition. But repetition, like Great Master says, is the easiest, quickest way to go within. We have, you know, been on the spiritual path for, obviously, different ones have, you know, just been initiated by Ishwar or some other masters. Some have been initiated for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Now, does that matter? Well, it could. Does that matter that a person who's been initiated 30, 40, 50 years is more aware than a person that's been initiated 30, 40, 50 minutes? No, it doesn't. Why? Because we don't know what our past lives have been and with what master. I dare say that if you're on the spiritual path now, this isn't your first time coming across a master. Could be, but not necessarily. Why do I say that? Because, as you all have heard me say before, the first time I came to the spiritual path, this brother introduced me to the spiritual path. And I was there trying to do business. You've heard the story. He gave me the book, The Path, after I saw a picture of Maharaji Charan Singh on the wall of his home. I couldn't pay attention to the small business meeting. It was 6, 8, 10 people there for looking at the picture of Maharaji on his wall. After the meeting was over, he said, okay, you're interested, I'm going to give you this book, The Path. You read it and let me know. And then if you're interested, I'll go over more of who this man is on my wall. Took the book home, read it that same night. I was not initiated. Had never met the master. Had never met Ishwar. And I tried what the master said in the book and was taken out of my body that very same night. That's why I brought this up. You can be initiated. You cannot be initiated, at least that you know of, from the past. But something brought you to the feet of the master this time, this life. So that's why I'm giving you some experience, it's some experiential, and you all know me by now. I like to show proof. Not that that's any proof, but I like to show proof of what was my experiences were with Ishwarji. In 1986, we had a house in Wisconsin, not as far north as Bruce, but it was a house that Johnny and Clarence had purchased. Beautiful home. Glass windows all the way around because of the scenery. It was right off Lake Michigan. Beautiful. They must have paid big money for it. They were wealthy at this point. Why were they wealthy? They had gone into business with Ishwarji. They were all 3 millionaires because of Ishwarji. So Clarence and Johnny bought this home, much like the Bruce house is a lot less extravagant, but nonetheless, it was a donation by these guys to provide the meeting house for satsangis from all over the world. And this particular day was Bandara. And Ishwarji was obviously giving and holding the Bandara. And satsangis and seekers from all over the world were there. And much like what we see now, where satsangis and seekers come from all over looking for the master, having his darshan, looking for initiation. And Ishwar was giving satsang. And again, I was not initiated by Ishwar by this time, because Ishwar, much to most people's belief, was not initiating people back then. So when I hear about people saying, oh, I'm initiating people, Ishwar didn't start initiating people until 2000. But he was giving satsang up till that point and continued. But at this Bandara, I remember taking this picture, and you all have seen this picture through some of the catalogs that have been out there now. I took this picture as Master was giving satsang on Bandara, and this was Great Master's sandals that he was holding up to his heart. And you can see the love and the joy in his face as he was holding the Great Master's sandals. His master, obviously. And that was back in 1986. I want you to be aware that the reason I'm going through this is historically, from my point of view, because I've been with him 40 years. Historically, I've seen different parts of his life, his development, his experiences on the spiritual path. He shared some with me, as he has with you all as well. When he talked about when he was a little boy and the demon was in his room doing a jig, a dancing in his room. Some of you have heard him tell that story. And he wasn't even afraid. Most kids would be afraid. But he shared that story. He shared lots of stories with me, as he has with you all. I'm not exclusive in that. But what I'm trying to share with you is that the spiritual path is not an immediate experience of God realization. It's like anything else. As a child, we learn to crawl, hopefully begin to walk gradually, taking baby steps. Finally, we get better at walking. Parents don't have to hold us up. We can walk alone. Maybe we can hold on to the furniture and walk along. Finally, we get to the point where we've grown up and become adults. And we've learned through experience how to do things. Simple things as walking and talking. Through what? Repetition. So the idea behind the whole thing is that we have to understand that yes, the master can take you in right away if he wants to. But not likely. Because you've heard the old saying, you have to crawl before you can walk. The love and acceptance that the master provides us is all grace. Nothing else. The grace that he gives us is coming strictly from love. Now, we all even have ideas of love. It's like we have ideas about anything. But like anything else, whether walking or talking, love has to be experienced. Everything is an experience. The ultimate experience is love. And that's the beauty of the spiritual path. That's what we're after. We see here in this life, in this world, we see horrors of all kinds. We currently see a demon, and I do mean demon, who has decided to try to kill a whole country before our eyes in Ukraine. This little demon has been placed there by Cal to do this. Vladimir Putin, as they call him. He has a different name someplace else on the inner regions. That soul has incarnated into this body called Putin to create havoc, horror, and death. I remember riding with Ishwarji. The reason I brought this up, I remember riding with Ishwarji in the car, like we used to do a lot. And it was during the time when, I don't know how many of you remember this, the Murrah Federal Building in Kansas City was blown up by this young dude. And he had blown the face off of he parked a car or truck in front of the Murrah Federal Building and blew it up, killed a lot of people, men, women, children. And I remember asking him at the time, Ishwar, I said, this guy, and they had caught the guy by this time. We saw his picture on TV. I said, Ishwar, what kind of karma is that this guy has blown up all these people and affected all of these people's lives, their relatives, and different people, whether they were there or around the world, had an idea about this guy and didn't like him because he did this. I'm coming from a karmic point of view now. I said, what happens to a soul like that? What happens going forward to that particular soul? You know what he said? He said, Dwight, you don't want to know. I said, yeah, I do. Tell me. He said he will have to pay millions of lifetimes to every soul he has affected in this action. Whether he affected them directly by killing them with the bomb, maiming them by crippling them with the bomb, or their family members who began to hate him because he did this with the bomb, or people around the world who don't like him because of what he did with the bomb. The karma has to be paid, and that will take him millions of lives. And he won't be paid necessarily in human form after going to hell. So when I look at this little man called Vladimir Putin doing basically the same thing as he struts his little stuff amongst his people, I think about what Ishwarji told me about this guy. Can't think of the guy's name, who blew up the Murrah Federal Building here in the United States. So it just gives you an idea of how the karma works, and how when you become an initiate of a perfect master, that karma is taken on by the master. And that's just one person, one person's karma. Now imagine initiating hundreds like GM did, hundreds of thousands. 125,000 was the original number the great master initiated. Imagine taking on all that karma from these souls, and we don't have a clue what we've done as souls or incarnations of beings, people, because the lower carnations are payoff karmas, animals, trees, vegetation, microbes. It's paying off karma. It's only in the human form that we can create karma. The animals don't create karma. Neither do the trees and the flowers and the bugs and you name it. Only human beings. So what I'm trying to share with you folks is that once this thing has happened, ain't no taking it back. You got to deal with it one way or the other. So when the masters come and we ask them for initiation, we don't even know what we're really asking for outside of help, get me out of here, master. I don't know what I've done in these many different incarnations, but please get me the hell out of here. I remember Ishwar using those very words with me before he left. We were in the car again. We used to ride around a lot together, going to different places. I said, Master, what do we want to do? He said, Dwight, he said, we want to get the hell out of here. We were buddies. We could talk like that. So I'm sharing with you folks this information because this information has helped me in my development on the spiritual path. You've heard me say these things before. You hear me say them again and again because these are the facts. Master used to repeat certain information as well, because you can only repeat the same information in a different form, different style. But the message is the same. Get the hell out of here. Do your Simran, do your meditation, and that will give you your passport out of this world of pain and pleasure, Swamiji Maharaj, Shiv Dayal Singh. He brought Sant Mat to the world as we know it today. Swamiji. And Swamiji, his disciples called it and named it Radha Swami because they used to call Swamiji, Swamiji. His name was Shiv Dayal Singh. That was his, birth name. And then he became, as he did 17 years of meditation, straight meditation. Can you imagine that? Non-stop. And he became and ascended to becoming a perfect living master. And he brought the teachings of Radha Swami. His disciples started calling him Radha Swami because he was Swamiji. And because he had realized God, they put in front, they called him Radha Swami. Saligram, Rai Saligram, chief disciple. Sadur Bahadur, great master's master, chief disciple, became masters. As you know, great master's master was Radhaswami Dayal, his disciple. So there's a lot of times, don't try to make any rhyme or reason out of it, because the rhyme and reason might not make any sense. It's not a theoretical kind of path. It's a scientific path that you have to practice. Nobody can practice it but you. We all have to do our homework if you want some real deal stuff. And that's what the whole thing is about. Practice, practice, practice. Repetition, repetition, repetition. The more repetition you do, the easier it gets. Just like anything. The more walking the baby does, the easier the baby gets walking, starts running. The more math you do, better you get at it. Reading, writing, arithmetic, as they say. So, I just think that from Saligram to Baba Jamal Singh, who was great master's master, these guys were no nonsense disciples when it came to the spiritual path. Doesn't mean they didn't they had to do their daily work and, go to work, handle their families, things like that, like many of us are doing. But the main deal is they paid attention to the spiritual path and their master. That was their priority. Like I'm sure it's your priority in life. As I say all the time, whether you do the meditation and the Simran or not, with the grace of the master, you still got it made. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get any experience if you're not practicing. You can, I'm not saying you won't, but there's a reason that the masters tell us to do the Simran, the bhajan, the Simran, listening to the sound, because you can't listen to the sound without the Simran. You can lay in the bed, I can lay in the bed on my right side because the sound is coming out of the right ear. And it wakes me from sleep. It's not very loud, but there's a constant sound. And it varies. But it can wake me, has wakened me. I'm talking physically awakened me. So these are some of the ideas, some of the things that can occur even as you do your daily chores or responsibilities that you may be going through. So that's the idea behind the whole thing, folks. I hope that we come to some understanding that for each and every one of us, the ultimate experience is the same. Okay. But not the preliminary experiences. Those are not the same. Why? Because we don't have the same karmas. Only the master knows what we've done and how to categorize what we've done in these thousands of lifetimes that we've lived, if not millions. Only the master knows what that was. And you can imagine what that could be like. Because we haven't always been, oh, so saintly. Nope. Judge not that ye not be judged. That's what Jesus Christ says. Because you don't know what the hell you've done. Even though you're looking at these people who are doing these criminal acts. So that's the idea behind the whole thing. It has been for me anyway. And, I enjoy sharing this information with you all because the Lord is merciful. Have mercy on my soul. A lot of songs out there like that. Lord, have mercy on my soul. Because the soul lives forever. Like Dr. Chan was saying earlier, you might not have this body the next moment. But yet you think about, oh, yeah, when I get to be this and I get to be that, and when I go and graduate from school and get a new job and become this and become that. All illusion. But we take it for granted, and it's because most of us don't die right away. But we can be guaranteed, as the masters say, that we will die one day. Like Dr. Chan said, it could be 100 years. It could be like the Japanese lady I saw on news, you probably saw her too. She's 119 years old. 119. So these are some of the things that you realize, but then when you have somebody die in a quick moment, it brings you back to reality. Like Dr. Chan was saying in his satsang discourse. You are not promised, we are not promised the next moment. So that's all I wanted to say, folks. I just hope that you have your practices going on. It takes time. I'm not saying, and I'm not judging. I'm saying what Great Master says here. And as you know, I say it all the time when I come on. The quickest and easiest way to going within is doing Simran. Because we do Simran going to work, that's repetition. So there you go. I want to say thank you for allowing me to speak, Michael, and want everybody to know here that you have the ability to go within, if you haven't already, to see the master, if you haven't already, whoever your master was that initiated you. But this is how it works. And you can believe all you want about anything, but it's the practice that gives you the true realization of what you're doing, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be spiritual. It's the practice. You're building a house. You never built a house before, but if you practiced as a carpenter or somebody who's an electrician or somebody like that, you know how to build a house. Somebody who's never built a house, they don't know how to build a house. They have to learn. That's why they call it an apprenticeship. Same thing with the spiritual path. This is an apprenticeship that we're going through. Then you become a journeyman because you've graduated the apprenticeship stage. And you become a journeyman, meaning you know what to do. You made the journey. You know how to build. Same thing with the spiritual path. So be aware that it takes time. Be aware that one's realization, whether it's my realization, your realization, or someone else's realization, also varies. Good, bad, or ugly. So don't assume that if we're all in this together. We are, but we're not all experiencing the same things together, just like we're not all experiencing our life events together, the same life events. They can be similar. That's all we want to say. But thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate you listening to me. And Michael, you're doing a fantastic job along with the others that are assisting you in giving these satsangs, Barry and Dr. Chan and the different people who are on here. I see the different people's names. I may not know you all, Mary Lott and Shanti, all you people. You are Master's beautiful disciples, Visesh. All of you are doing great seva. And it is going into the coffers, your coffers. Don't think that because you're doing seva, the master is not keeping track. He is. Don't think that you're not being rewarded for doing the seva. You are. You may not see it immediately, and you could see it immediately. Depends on your karma. Millions of lifetimes of karmas. Only the master can see that and what you've done, what we've done. And that's the idea, that it's not a simple fix. It's very complicated. And the spiritual path, you may have heard, is not for sissies and chumps. It's for warriors. because the struggle is like that of a warrior. So that's the idea behind the whole thing. And I just want to say thank you again, all of you, for listening and giving me the opportunity to speak to you. Life goes on. Do your meditation. If you can't do the official meditation, and I take that in, maybe that's not the right terminology, I mean sitting with eyes closed. As Great Master says, you should be doing 21 and a half hours of meditation. What does that mean? That means you should be doing the Simran, walking, talking, driving, working, whatever, eating. And then that other 2.5 hours, you're actually sitting with eyes closed, meditating, so that you can go within. But the meditation should be 24/7. Because you are meditating anytime you're doing any kind of understanding, or I should say contemplation of the master and or repetition. I think I told you folks before, I made a song out of Simran, you know, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Same thing with repetition. Make it interesting for yourself, and you'd be just fine. Thank you very much. I've got my signal from
Thank
Michael. Okay.
Thank you, Dwight G.
Okay. Thank you,
That was
everybody.
beautiful. Thank you so much for your seva.
Thank
All
you.
right, so now we will listen to our Holy Father, Ishwar Puri Ji. Enjoy.
Friends, to this third day of our program to celebrate the Bandara of Great Master Hazur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh Ji, my master, without whose teachings I wouldn't be here, without whose initiation I wouldn't be here, without whose grace I wouldn't be here. Teachings are important. Teachings give us an idea for the mind to grasp how to proceed, how to start. But teachings are not the real purpose for which a perfect living master comes into this world. Because teaching can be found in books. And there are hundreds of masters right now, at this moment, teaching the same thing that perfect living masters teach us. So teachings cannot match what the true path of the perfect living masters is. The path of the perfect living masters is beyond all teachings. They use teachings for our mind so that we grasp enough of this path to be able to make a start. This is a path of love and devotion, the only thing that pulls us beyond the mind. The journey of a perfect living master really starts after the mind, from the individual soul into its totality. The journey of a perfect living master starts from Par Brahm and goes to Sachkhand. The rest, so many other people are doing also. Mental games are being played all over the world in the name of spirituality. And the mind loves those games. And I don't mind if people play those games. They are good, they are very interesting. But the path of the masters, true Sant Mat, which is the path of the masters, takes us beyond the mind, because that's the only way we can have complete, total liberation and total return to our true home with nothing to come back to, nothing to go into delusions and illusions again. So that is why the path of the masters consists only of the practice of love and devotion. Period. It's love and devotion that will take you there, nothing else. Other things can take you part of the way, give you introduction to what's going on. An Indian mystic, Paltu Paltu Saab says, Sahib ke darbar mein keval bhakt pyar. There's nothing else in his world except love and devotion. In his darbar, in his court, in the court of the Lord, there is nothing else that counts except love and devotion. So therefore, when we do the meditation session today, I want to introduce you to the real form of meditation even from the beginning. I was talking of mechanical things. How to sit behind the eyes, a good starting point. How to gather your attention, how to practice putting your attention at the starting point. But those are just starting points. But we can introduce love and devotion right there. Now, I must tell you that love and devotion to an object that does not match us is not really possible. If somebody says, I love my bird, I love my dog, I love my cat, great, you're attached to them and they respond and this is a great experience. But this is not the love and devotion we're talking of. Love and devotion is where somebody can exchange that kind of conversation which goes into our heart and answers questions which we have been asking forever in our hearts. Love is a very powerful thing. Love is the most powerful thing that I know of in this whole world. But love is to be distinguished from attachment. When I say I love my child, I don't love my child, I'm attached to my child. I miss my child because I'm attached. We miss things and we call them, we love them. People say we love each other. If love was there, a person would not think of saying, I love you. Remember, when a person says, I love you, what's going on in his mind? First of all, there's I, and then you, and therefore I am expressing something for you. Supposing you say to a person who says, I love you, you say, I don't, I hate you. That person will say, I hate you too. This is not true love. This is what we make of love here. True love is where you forget the I, and you forget the and you forget who you're talking to, and you are so preoccupied with the beloved that the beloved occupies your thinking, your thoughts, and your mind and heart, and I is forgotten. I is called ego. Ego is almost in the forefront when we confront this world. When we live in this world, the most forward thing, further than our nose, is our ego. Our ego handles everything. I can do this, I am doing this, I am going to do this, I, all the time. Or mine, or me. It's all ego. There's nothing that stops the ego from moving forward ahead of everything else except one thing, love. Love is the only experience that puts the ego in the back bench, puts the ego behind, and the beloved takes the place of the ego. That is love. Now, we don't normally experience this, though it comes up in spurts, that kind of love. But we destroy that experience by thinking about it. We bring the mind into love. Love is a spiritual phenomenon. Love is created from the heart, from the soul, from the innermost self of ourselves, not from the mind. Therefore, when love flows from the soul, it touches people's soul. It does not touch their mind. Good conversation can touch their minds. Teachings can touch our minds. But love touches our souls. And that is why we can't sometimes explain what's happening to us. When we experience love, something happens. The mind can't understand. When the mind tries to understand, thinks about it, the experience is lost. And so many people who have real experience of love for people destroy that love by thinking about it. Because thinking mechanism does not generate love. Thinking is an analytical faculty we have, which tries to break things into pieces. All divisions in the world, wars are taking place, divisions, fights are going on, anger is being expressed, all because of the mind. and the mind is coming in the way. Thinking is coming in the way. And yet there are experiences which are beyond thinking, and love is the most important one of them. So therefore, when we say love and devotion, we don't know what love is. But I can tell you one way in which you can express love, and that is devotion. What is devotion? What's the difference between love and devotion? We always talk, do this with love and devotion, meditate with love and devotion, express your love and devotion. What's the difference between the two? The difference is that love comes naturally when it's unconditional, and devotion is a natural response to it. When we experience the unconditional love from a perfect living master, and there are not too many people who can express that, but we do know at least, we are sure, when the love, unconditional love flows to us from a perfect living master, automatically something flows in us back, which is devotion. So love and devotion is a combination of our relationship with the master. So that is why when we have this kind of feeling, this feeling does not occur only in the physical plane. This feeling occurs in meditation. This feeling occurs in the higher levels of consciousness. And this feeling binds us together and makes us one. We sometimes do not know the difference. Is the master us or we are the master? We go to that level. That oneness of experience, that's true love. What we call attachment, and we call it love, creates togetherness. Love creates oneness. There's a difference between togetherness and oneness. In togetherness, we are together, but they are still two. We are keeping a little distance by saying we are two. We don't become one. In love, we become one because we forget the I. And the only beloved becomes the only one. So that is why this path, in reality, is a path of love and devotion. And therefore, nothing will take us beyond the causal plane except love and devotion. So therefore, even right from day one, we can start with this. When we meditate, practice with love and devotion. If we don't know how to love, if we don't know how to express devotion, pretend you can do it. Swamiji says, "Jhoti sachi kar bhakti." He says, even if it's not true, try it out, it might become true. So even if you don't know how to express your love and devotion, try it out. Like you do it in the world. Express it, and it will happen automatically. Tears flow through us. We can't speak when we want to express love. Nothing can be said. We become speechless. In this physical world, I met people in interviews here, elsewhere. So many people come and see me and they cry with tears flowing. I saw them yesterday. I see them every time. In fact, in Florida, I said I must be meeting a lot of crybabies. But I can see the tears are flowing uncontrollably. They are speechless because the love and devotion is flowing from them. It can be seen outside, it can be seen inside. Therefore, when we meditate with love and devotion, our whole attitude changes. And meditation becomes such an exhilarating, uplifting experience that you find there's nothing like it. And if you don't have that element in it, it's a boring thing, how to pass time. I remember that friend of mine in San Francisco, an old satsangi, he invited me to come and stay with him. And I went to his house. He said, "Now, Ishwar, you old satsangi have come, we'll meditate in the morning." I wanted to sleep really. But he said, "No, 3 o'clock is meditation time." So just to keep up with him, I also woke up. He woke up with an alarm and woke me up also. So we both sat to meditate. Now he was meditating seriously because he was meditating regularly. And I was meditating non-seriously because my eye was on him. What is he doing? From time to time, I would open the corner of my eye and see what he's doing. By coincidence or by chance, every time I opened my eye to look at him, he was looking at his watch. 2.5 hours we spent like that. At the end, he said, "Ishwar, I'm so happy you were here. We had a good session of meditation." I said, my friend, we had a good meditation. It was not meditation on the self. It was not meditation on the master. It was not meditation on God. It was meditation on the watch. I said, you were more concerned with spending 2.5 hours and making sure that 2.5 hours have passed and we say we have done our duty. Imagine how boring that kind of meditation would be. How difficult that to pass time like this just to complete the 2.5 hours. What are you getting out of it? What do people get out of it? That they force themselves to do something. What is missing in that? What is missing is love and devotion, the picture of your master, the image of your master, the memory of your master, which would never let you get up like that. You'd forget the watches, you'd forget everything. You'd forget the world if you are in conversation with your master inside during meditation. Converse with the master. Talk to the master. Do what you like. You are inside in a chamber of meditation with the master. Advantage of initiation is the master is always with you. Whether you can see him or not, you'll see him one day. But till you can see him, you should know he's there because you can talk to him. You will even hear his answers. And if he answers, check it out with the Simran. It is not your mind answering your questions, but he's answering your questions. We can have a very early contact with a master even before we reach the radiant form of the master inside by using these simple tricks of the trade, tricks of spiritual practice, that you can talk to the master and see even if any image, non-image, comes and gives answers, check it with the Simran at that time. If the answer says, yes, I am there, it's an answer from the master. We have been given so many protections and guarantees during initiation. There's nothing like it. Our whole life becomes so different just because of one event of being initiated by a perfect living master. So therefore, make use of these things. I will like to introduce to you the subject of love and devotion as a practical way in meditation this afternoon, today. I'll also try to address the issue which has been mentioned again, that can we find out who is the real master? You know, you can't find out who is the real master. People ask me so many questions giving names of masters. Many people have been to many masters. They give me a list of how many masters they have been initiated by. And I ask them, if they come for initiation, who will be next after me? If they're going to keep on trying, their philosophy probably is, one of them must be okay. Why miss it out on anything? But this kind of thinking that maybe one of them is okay, it leads to a very big confusion in the head. It's a confusion that we are trying to find a perfect living master. We don't know how to find. They all say the same thing. They all teach the same thing. Some look more masterly than others. How are we going to find out who is a perfect living master? And there are so many. And when they ask me, can you tell me if that person named so-and-so is a perfect living master? I say, it's not my job. It's not my role to do this. I respect all masters. I especially respect all masters who tell us go within. At least they're giving the right direction, which is good enough. If somebody says go on the wrong side, if somebody says go to that lake and you'll find God, I'll say, no, don't. Don't follow that master. There's nothing in the lake except water. So, but if somebody says go within, I'll say good. He's given a good starting point. So I'll respect every master who says go within. But masters go as far as they can go depending upon who their masters were. So all masters don't go there. Just like all school teachers. Elementary school you go, you can't expect that you must have a PhD professor from a college to teach you. But if a young child says, no, my uncle told me he went to college and studied with a real professor. I don't want to go to this school because there's no professor here. There are only small teachers here. The guy will never go to the level where he reached the professor, because each stage takes you where it is. In fact, The scriptures, our old Indian Vedas have mentioned that there are 4 teachers in life automatically, and they lead you to spirituality. The first teacher is your mother. The mother is the very first influence on us. Second teacher is the school teacher. Third is the teacher in the church or the temple. And fourth is a master, a spiritual master, a perfect living master. They mention that this is a stage through which you go. You want to jump from one to the other, you can't jump. So therefore, no matter which master you have, he will take you as far as he can go. He can't take you further. Doesn't matter. If your seeking continues, after a master has taken you where he can, you will still find the perfect living master. Indeed, he will find you. You just have to seek. If your seeking stops there, then that was your goal for this lifetime. Some people have come for limited goals. They get their goal. They're happy. Some people say, meditation is only to calm my mind. All right. The people are using meditation to get peace of mind. They are disturbed and they get peace of mind by repeating words. I can tell you today, after my practice, any word you can repeat, you'll get peace of mind. Don't have to go for a mantra. But just keep on repeating, because you don't think of other things that gives you peace of mind. There are some simple things which you have practiced and known how they happen. So you can try anything up to your goal. If your goal is to go back to your true home from which you need not return, then that is only possible through a perfect living master. And if your goal remains the same, perfect living master will find you. It's not your job, it's the job of the perfect living master, because whoever has a goal to go back to satsang, to true home, his name is already recorded in the list A of a perfect living master. A perfect living master comes to collect souls that are on his list. Why? Because the world goes through time and perfect living masters appear in human form and they die and go away. The new masters come and go. We also come and go. Disciples come and go. Masters come and go. So the seeking goes on from lifetime to lifetime. So who is a master? Who's our master? Our name is on list A. Then what is list B? List B is that we will meet the master, perfect living master. But our time has not come, we have to have another birth. If we have to have another birth, then list A will be a master in that birth. So it's a very good system. System is working perfectly for centuries, for aeons, for yugas, and it's working today also. So one should not bother about this. If your goal is to go to your true home, to your satsang, then perfect living master will take you and you will be on that list. Perfect living masters will go anywhere to search for a marked soul, no matter where they're hiding in a forest, trying to practice some meditation there, or they're sitting out in a boat somewhere, or they're flying in the sky, or they're living down under somewhere in Australia or New Zealand. Doesn't matter where they are living. A perfect living master will go and find those sheep and take them home. They're like a shepherd. They say shepherd doesn't leave his sheep, he collects. And the one that cannot really walk as fast, run as fast as the other sheep, he carries in his arms. And that's exactly the position. Some of us who are not so firm, not so strong, he carries in his own arms. It's a great experience to be just carried by like a mother carries the child is completely carefree. It's that kind of experience that you have with a master. So do not underestimate. Masters come, masters go. Teachings are all over. Masters come to pull us by the love and take us home. They give teachings because we want teachings. It's surprising that how much we want teachings, how much we want to do effort. Why are we so keen to put effort, to work hard when somebody says, I'll give you something on a platter? And the mind doesn't accept it. If somebody says, I'm going to give you something free, there must be a catch in it. There's something in it. He is expecting something else. How our mind works? Our mind always works like this. Yeah, you have to earn everything. You have to work for everything. Nothing comes without a struggle. We have been trained, brought up like that. The masters come and say, yeah, work, struggle, do what you like. But keep on working. Keep on moving towards your goal. Don't stop and start thinking so much that you spend your whole life in thinking and questioning. Some people question all their life. They say, unless we get proof, unless we get satisfactory proof of this, unless we get... They don't realize they have no proof of wakefulness when they wake up in the morning and they never ask for proof that they are awake. And they ask for proof for higher wakefulness. They can't even find a proof for physical wakefulness. Yet they want to ask questions. That's where they told the story of an intellectual questioning guy. He was walking in a village in India, and those villages have wells with no parapet wall around them. So while walking and thinking of his questions, he fell into the well. And when he was in the well, fortunately the well was not so deep, so he didn't drown. But he was groaning and moaning in the water, how did I fall into the well? And somebody, a passerby, heard his groans and moans, and he said, let me go and help him. He looked at, he says, look, I'm going to bring a rope to pull you out. He said, wait, before you bring the rope, tell me why I fell into the well. He said, you can ask this question when you come out. Don't you want to first come out? No. If you bring a rope and then you lower it down and I hold it, how do you know you'll drop me again? How can I be sure of it? He says, look, I'll bring a rope. I have heard your moaning and groaning and your cries for help. You said I want help. I'm bringing help. Look, first I must be sure. I want proof that you will take me out and not drop me again. And I must know why I fell into the well in the first place. Do you know this is a picture of us? This is a picture of us intellectuals. We waste all our life sometimes asking these questions, and we don't move forward. We can't take a simple leap of faith and take one step. If that step works, then take the second one. No master is saying that take a step directly to go into satsang. They say take the first step, then take the second step if you're satisfied. If the first step doesn't work, go back, do what you like. But we question, and the mind confuses us. The more questions we ask, the more confused we get. And then we start reading books. They confuse us even more. The books have so much contradiction. It's unbelievable. Same book talks of different things. One says that effort is needed. You must meditate for so long in order to get something. Another page says nothing can happen with your effort. Only grace gives you this. Which one is right? See, we get confused by these kind of contradictions because we mix up the statements made by enlightened people from different levels of consciousness. We try to put them together at one level, and they are contradictions. But if you place them in the right level, they are all consistent. There's no contradiction. If you have had inner experience in meditation, all books are consistent. There's no contradiction. You can read them and know exactly what they're talking about. But if you haven't, if you only keep on reading books and not try what they're saying, not go into what they're saying, then there are contradictions, more confusion. People get confusion all the time. Do we have free will or no free will? What is the question? If we have free will, then we are responsible for our actions. Everybody teaches us you are responsible. And if we have no free will, we are being punished for our sins. We had no free will. We committed sins in the name of God, who took away all our free will. Then why are we being punished for it? Questions which are so confusing to anybody. An intellectual will get confused all the time unless he understands the nature of free will. It's an experience. The nature of creation, it's an experience. That all things are experiences and they are consistent at one level, but they're inconsistent if you put them together at different levels. At different levels, they become different. Do we have free will here? Yes. In the astral plane? No. In the causal plane? Absolutely no. In Sachkhand? Yes. Which one is the correct answer? All I gave is correct answers. All these are correct answers, and yet if somebody is only reading books, it's inconsistent. It's contradicting. So therefore, the experience, there's nothing matches the actual experience of what it is. Supposing I like the island of Hawaii. There is a beach there called Waikiki Beach. It's a beautiful beach, beautiful sand. Supposing somebody tells me there's a beautiful beach, and if you go, you will have the sun, you can do swimming, boating, all that. And it is so beautiful to walk on the beach. I say, wonderful. So I take a book on Hawaii, a guidebook, and read it over and over again. Every day I read it. Oh, that's great. You have never reached Hawaii by reading that book. If you take a plane and go there or reach there, you can't experience what the book is saying. But what are we doing? We think reading a book is going to take us somewhere. We think when we have read the book, we have reached somewhere. Just by reading a book, you have reached nowhere. You got information. You got good information. But here, huge religions are based upon just reading of a book. People are going by books and scriptures as if reading them is salvation, as if reading them takes them to the true home. How can it take it? It's a description of what is there and how you can go there. Unless we act upon what these books are saying, we can't get the results of what the books are themselves teaching. And the books themselves say things which contradict the interpretation we put upon it by not following it. We don't follow the instructions of a book. We say reading of the book is good enough. How can we convert books into such scriptures that by reading you have reached where the books are talking about? Let's try today meditation behind the eyes with love and devotion.